All right, we're back. At least I think we're back. I don't know what happened, but we just had a little glitch in the system, and we are back online. So I'm here with Dave Katzman. We're still in the middle of Blues in Chicago. You haven't missed anything because we went dark there for a minute. But if you are hearing us and seeing us, and if everything sounds good, give us a thumbs up, say hi, shoot us a comment so we know you're there. I don't know what happened. The system froze. It's the 20th episode, Dave, and this is the first time the system froze. So I guess you're
I have no idea.
I guess you're on the
Yeah.
lucky show here. So congratulations. All right,
Right. Well, see, it'll never happen to us again.
knock on wood. Knock on wood. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
right, right.
for everybody that's watching right now, give us a thumbs up. Ah, thanks. See, I knew Tracy Oliver was there for us, so he's giving us a thumbs up. We're
Yeah.
back in business. All right. So
All
let's
right.
pick up where you were. So there are two streams a day. So there's an organization that's doing two shows, two streams a day. What's the name of the organization again? We'll pick up right there.
Can't stop the blues.
Can't stop the blues.
Stop the blues.
Wow. Okay.
And they're doing a great thing. What their whole concept is let me find it in my notes. Bringing music to the fans and money to the bands. And their whole point it was motivated by trying to get the musicians who are suffering greatly, and I can speak to that myself, and I know you can too.
Yeah.
All our gigs are gone, and there's no income, and it's scary. But what Karen has done, and the people at Can't Stop the Blues, is they've created a really nice platform, and they are working with great artists, Mike Zito, Joanna Connor, Nick Moss, people like that. In fact, Nick and Katie Moss are doing a show this Sunday. The shows start at 9 o'clock, but they do kind of a pre-show talking to the bands, and before the show and after the bands, kind of like a meet and greet. So it really starts at 8:30, and it's a lot of fun. You know, people
Oh,
get to ask
cool.
questions live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great
Wow.
platform. And like I said, this Sunday is Nick Moss with Kate Moss and the band, and
How are they
opening.
doing the
I
band?
don't
So they're
see.
doing the band. They're all together in a room. How can that be?
Well, it just so happens that Nick's band happens. Most of the band is living with him at the moment because they're kind of stranded here.
Got it.
And his bass player is Brazilian and is basically stranded here, and his wife is stranded in Brazil. It's
Oh,
an
jeez.
unfortunate situation, and the drummer, it's just easier for him to live there to make music. They've got a big enough house and grounds to be able to coexist and not kill each other.
Oh, that's good.
Um,
That's good.
yeah. And so they're going to be doing that, but the musicians are mostly doing solos. You know, there's not a lot of band stuff, but
Right.
you know, I think each situation is different. But you should definitely go online and check out Can't Stop the Blues. They're a great group of people, and they're doing a great thing.
That's incredible. That's
And
great.
yeah, you know, and that's what it takes. And Karen and I had a long conversation this morning in regards to uh, doing some co-op work with what we're doing with Chicago Music Revealed and Blues in Chicago, tying it to Can't Stop the Blues, and then creating a platform for listings, which I know Amanda is putting together for the Chicago Music Revealed. But everybody tying together, because in this world now, it wasn't this way when everyone was competing for the same club for the gigs, where we all had to kind of hold our cards close to our chest, so to speak. But now there's no competition. You know, we're out there, and everyone can combine the information and really create an even stronger community, both the jazz and blues and the rock community and everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we all can help each other, and that's going to become, you know, we're all figuring it out, but it's going to become the really important thing.
That's
you know,
right.
for
That's right.
how
Well, and that's part of the
there's
reason
no.
why I started the show, right? To connect the entire music community, not just one faction like a jazz faction or blues or rock or whatever it is. So, I mean, this all makes total sense. And, you know, everybody working together will get through this entire situation, you know, without a problem.
Right.
So what else you
And
got
build
on your,
something new.
yeah, exactly.
Well,
So what else you got on your
well, I
docket
do
here?
do have some. First off, I would be remiss if I didn't do this. I just want to say that the blues community is still pretty hit hard by Sir Walter Scott passing. Walter was the guitar player for the Shy Lights and also everybody else who came to town. I mean, he was pretty much the top call R&B and blues guitarist in town. He passed away about a week and a half ago, and it's very sad. I just wanted to give him some respect. But on a
Mhm.
good note, I spoke to Bobby Rush this morning, who at 90 years old, I think it is 90 or 91, is coming back from suffering the COVID. And he was down for the count. He was in a hospital, and then he had private help at home. But he's a very old guy. Got more energy than you and me combined. But
well, he was
he
just
is
in the
now
he was just in the Eddie Murphy movie.
right. Exactly.
Yeah, he
Exactly.
was in Dolomite is My Name. What about that? Was a great
Right,
movie.
right.
Oh,
It was that, the bar scene, and
yeah.
and Bobby is just amazing. I mean, he has so much energy, and he wanted me to tell everybody that he was down, and God brought him back, and he wanted to thank everybody for sending him their messages in love, and he's feeling real good and blessed, and he is back.
All right.
That's
All
what he
right.
said.
Good. Well, that's good news.
That's a direct quote from him. So that's good news in this COVID craziness.
Yeah.
So yeah, good spirit. And wanted to touch base on Delmark Records.
Yep.
They have a exhibit which was put up right before the whole thing hit, and it's a photo exhibit called Women in the Blues, and it's a very excellent exhibit. Lynn Orman put it up. But it's a few different photographers, but it's all the women who are currently performing in the blues. And then, unfortunately, a couple of pictures of people who passed, but honoring people like Coco Taylor and things like that. Barbara LaShore and people who are no longer with us, unfortunately. But Julia over there is going to be creating a virtual tour of the exhibit. So she should be getting that together, hopefully in the week. And they're still putting out, records as usual. And they've got a new Jimmy Johnson out and a new Lindsay Alexander out. And in about a month, Rockin' Johnny's going to be put out. And they're still proceeding with jazz and blues, and getting it out on the street is just very, for them, it's a very new challenge. They're going to be dealing a lot more with digital marketing and
right.
stuff like that. So
yeah, well, and the good news is that they've been kind of gearing up they've been shifting Delmark's focus since they took it over a couple of years ago into the digital world, and now this just sort of pushes it even farther, that they've got to just make moves a little faster. But Julia and LEO and Steve Wagner and Frank and everybody at Delmark, great people, but they're on top of their game, and I think that they're in the right direction, where they're one of the record labels that are going to make it through this entire mess and come out on the other side in a strong position. So that's perfect.
It's interesting. They are survivors, and when Bob Kester, who owned it for 60 years or 61 years, he was one of the record companies that made it through the digital download explosion.
Yep.
Because he just kept moving forward and kept putting out vinyl, and all of a sudden the vinyl becomes a very good seller for them, and they're doing not as much in vinyl as digital downloads and CDs, but certainly they were always there. Their catalog was always on vinyl. So, for anybody who's looking for some good, amazing jazz and blues catalog, they got to go to the Delmark site,
Yeah.
And it's a lot more digitally accessible now, which is a good thing. And LBO and Julia have enabled that. So,
yeah, there's Delmark.com for those of you that want to hit that up, because that's just we can't even do it justice. Go look at the catalog; it's incredible. I mean, you cannot do it justice. So, all right. So how about one more hit on this thing, because we've got Joel Adams in the bullpen here. So I want to make sure.
Yeah, I don't want to use up more of my time. Just to the musicians, hang in there, open up some new doors, start working on the computer. Also, a lot of musicians are giving lessons on the computer, and I mean, very high quality musicians that were always touring too much to give lessons, they're now giving lessons. So just search out the artists that you really like and engage them digitally, and let's keep this ball rolling.
Yeah, exactly. And if people have shows coming up, or people have information that they want to get to Dave for his segment on Fridays, you can leave a comment. Obviously, you can hit us up through Chicago Music Revealed and DM us, send us a message through that. But also, where do you want to steer them if they want to directly contact you? Should we head them over to your company website, or what do you think?
Well, they could use Straight Arrow Info. My company is Straight Arrow Productions. They could send it to Straight Arrow Info, but probably quicker is just go to my personal Facebook
Yeah.
page
Okay.
and message me. I mean, that's real quick because I'm on Facebook all the time.
All right, so
You know,
perfect. So
and
Dave Katzman on Facebook, and we'll link you up. Obviously, we're going to tag you and all that one after the broadcast, so the people that are watching this on the replay be able to check the whole thing out and send Dave a message. Get on the list because this is only going to grow. And I'm looking
yes.
forward to actually having you on Skype because then we can see that fantastic head of hair you've got going right now in the quarantine era.
Well, thank you, buddy. Yeah, I'm a little furry right now, but that's okay. It's okay.
Hey, man,
Mike, it's been a joy. This is great, man. And I got to say, Mike, you're my buddy and everything like that, but your vision is really strong, and I'm glad to be involved in it. You know?
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad we're pushing forward through this quarantine time that nobody has ever experienced before, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's scary, but we can do it. We can make it through.
That's right. All right. So we'll talk to you next Friday, Dave. Thanks so much. That's Blues in Chicago with Dave Katzman. Every Friday, we're going to kick off the show every Friday with Dave Katzman. Hit him up on Facebook and stay safe this weekend, Dave, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Mike, and take it easy.
Thanks.
Bye.
I got to get him a theme song. If he's going to be on, I'm going to have to get Dave Katzman a theme song because he can't just come on and off without a theme song. It's not proper. I mean, we can't do that to the guy. He's a great guitar player too, by the way. Great blues man. He produced the Winter Blues Fest out there in Mount Prospect this past winter, and hopefully it's going to happen again this winter. Big success. Great guy. So I'm glad he's on board and he's involved in this experience we're doing every single day here, Monday through Friday, I should say, on Chicago Music Revealed. Now, I don't want to hold off any longer because we might run into some more issues where, who knows what's going to happen with the feed. So let's get over. I'm going to call up Joel Adams right now. We're going to do this live on air. I'm calling Joel right now. We're going to bring him up. He's the founder of the Chicago Yes Tet.
Hello.
Hey, Joel, Mike Jeffers. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. So I was just telling everyone we're bringing up Joel Adams here. He's the leader, the founder, the CEO of Chicago Yes Tet, whichever one sounds more official. Go right ahead and use it.
I'll steer clear of the CEO, but yeah, that's fine.
So before we get into this new project, I should say, which is not there yet, the new recording that's out, that just came out March 27th. Let's talk just for a second about the Chicago Yes Tet. It's a big band, but then you also do it in smaller versions of it too. Or is it a smaller version? I can't remember because I know I've seen a larger version, then sometimes I see maybe a 10-piece, and then I see a full big band sometimes. Explain to us what it is.
No, there's only one version.
Okay.
It's 13 people, so it's almost a full big band.
Okay. Maybe I saw it when a couple of people were sick.
I don't think we've only done it in that configuration, but so it's 13 people, 7 horns. A singer and a guy who does some spoken word. So,
So talk about when was it founded? When did you start the band?
2008.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you started in 2008. What was the premise behind it? I mean, and I should preface this because the people that are in this band are like first call guys in Chicago. It's like a killing band. And to be able to get all these guys together in one room and actually work their schedules out so they're all there, that's a feat in itself, let alone playing the music that you're performing and composing in most cases and rehearsing and all of that other stuff. So, I mean, how did the whole band come about?
I think it came to mind when I lived in New York briefly, and when I realized I wasn't going to stay out there, I knew so many, I'm from Wisconsin, so I already knew so many really good players in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So I started thinking about moving there, and I do love big band. I love Thad Jones. I got to play for a little while on one of the bands that was on the road for a while.
Wow.
And yeah,
I never knew that.
Great. Yeah, it was Woody Herman for about a year and 7 months. A year and 7 months and 3 days. No,
but who's counting?
but who's counting? No, it was a great experience, and that is part of the music that I fell in love with when I started playing the horn when I was 14. Those bands were on the road and they'd come through, and there's nothing like seeing a full big band live. It just knocks your socks off,
Yeah.
and um, so it's a little pared down, but 7 horns is enough to generate that power, I think, when you want, and it's also um, you can really create some nice voicings with that many horns, but you avoid the headache that it becomes, at least to me, when it's a full big band and you're dealing with a whole other set of details and
Right.
doubling and all kinds of things. But so it's kind of halfway in between.
Well, it
Um,
also makes for like an interesting, I mean, thinking wise, like more interesting arrangements than you would hear with a standard big band because you're going to have that flexibility, right?
Could be,
Yeah.
could be. I can't really judge that objectively, but yeah, I mean there are, it's also like you said, the players in the band are so good, and so there are moments, I like to let these great musicians that I have in the band stretch and solo, and it does. There are large parts of when we play that become it's a quartet for a while, you know, and that's part of the joy, absolute joy, in when we get to play, is listening to Jeff Bradfield stretch out on for a while, and all these other great players. Yes, and I don't know how I've been so lucky to keep these guys involved, because I don't we don't I don't not a lot of great there aren't a lot of venues that can support um, a big band, so it's not we don't often do gigs that pay really great, so I just feel really like the luckiest musician alive when I get to do it, because they're all, and yes, it can be a headache getting
Oh,
getting all these guys together, because they're super super busy, but
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and that's something that I think a lot of the people that are watching this that are not musicians don't understand, that when they see like the Chicago Yes Tet, when you play at the Chicago Jazz Fest, or when you play a festival, or when you play a big concert, or a club or something, the music is very uh, intricate. So you need to rehearse it, or at least have the ability to run through some charts before you go up and start playing this stuff. But to get guys that are busy all the time to commit to show up to play kind of intense charts in front of people on a regular basis is tough, because you need to rehearse and you need
Yeah,
to
it's
figure
it's
that
not
out.
it's not a reading band, that's for sure.
No, no, it's more of a
um,
labor of love. I think these guys just love probably being able to be creative on a high level, and that's what the Chicago Yes Ted actually, I always thought, kind of allows musicians inside of the band to do, and the listeners to listen to.
Yeah, I I think that's probably true. So, and it's also always feels like a little bit of a, we don't work that often, but when it does happen, it always feels like this little reunion. So it's a blast. Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about this new recording.
Uh-huh.
The new recording, not there yet, just came out. The Chicago Yes Tet. It's been a couple of years since the last recording, right? Has it been
Longer than that, probably
has it
five-ish,
been 5 years? Wow.
2016, at least 4. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
4.
So now this is interesting, because just reading over the information that Lydia Liebman sent over, and she's fantastic. We had her on the show last week, I think it already was, and she said, I knew about you obviously, and you and I have talked over the years, but I didn't even realize this new release was coming out until she hit me up with it.
Ah,
And then reading about it, it's fascinating, the story about it, the background of it. So why don't you talk a little bit about the concept of the recording, because we talked a little bit before you came on today, but I think you're going to do it more justice than myself. So tell us a little bit about the concept.
well, yeah, I'm not prolific as a writer by any means, but I'm steady, I guess, and I'm usually always working on something. I'm old, so I write uh, as people wrote in the 1970s and earlier, which means at the piano and pen and paper. And I've gotten, I guess, probably faster over the years, but it still takes me at least a month to get through a tune. It used to be more like 3 or 4 months. Um, and, that process is interesting and sometimes painful. In the end, when you're done, can be rewarding, I guess. But it's a very interesting process and labor intensive, and there are just a lot of details to think about when you're doing it. So I write 2 or 3 tunes a year, and I guess not there yet. The title track I wrote after the Michael Brown shooting in Missouri, and so that's I knew that would be, I guess, the idea, but behind um, the concept of it's certainly what was on my mind when I wanted to record again. Not every tune on the record is political by any means. Some of it's just music, and there's a range of different kinds of music. But that tune I put a lot of time into and a lot of thought and heart into, and yeah, so
How do
that's where
you
that's where
how do you so I'm always curious when I'm talking to composers and arrangers is that especially the compositional standpoint from this whole thing. You come up with a theme. This is an instrumental band basically, right? So I mean it's instrumental and you're writing the music instrumentally around a theme. How do you envision that theme when you're writing the music? That's what I always wonder. If you're a lyricist, I get it, but from an instrumental standpoint, when you're writing music, walk me through that process because I think it's fascinating that you come up with a concept. Because there's a lot of different musicians that come up with concepts and they write around a theme, but it's instrumental, so there's no lyric.
Actually, that track has both spoken word
Yeah.
and vocals on it.
But you had to write the music around the vocals,
well,
right?
I mean, I wrote the melody and and the chord changes obviously, and had the groove in mind. But they are both incredible lyricists, so they both wrote their own lyrics and fit it for the sections that I had them in mind for. And beyond that, I mean, some of the process is mysterious. It's trying to conceptualize a form that I find interesting. And it works in different ways at different times. Sometimes it's hearing a melody, sometimes it's hearing a groove. And how does the form fit together? All those different questions, and is Michael Brown on my mind every second while I'm coming up with particular voicings? Of course not. It's dealing with the music at that point, but it's certainly informed how I guess what I was hearing, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard a little bit of each track, and I'm going to delve into it this weekend. But as usual, the arrangements on all of these tunes are intense. How much feedback are you getting from the rest of the band? So when you walk in, what's the process? You walk in with the charts and say, "This is it. You guys play it exactly this way, or you're out of the band." Done. And then you walk out, and that's it. And they all swear at you.
That's a funny question. I mean, I think the fact that the band keeps saying yes to gigs means that it provides some kind of validation for. That's how I take it. I mean, they've all got their own things that they're involved with, but they keep saying yes when I call them. So I think they must get something out of what I'm doing. So
They keep
uh,
saying yes when you call them. That's there it is.
yes, yeah. So what I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly what they how they would what they would say about the music. I
Yeah.
think
I mean, do they give you a lot of feedback? I mean, you come in with
no,
arrangements
not
and writing and stuff, or
necessarily.
no? They just
I mean, sometimes I'll get something positive. Um, I just it's when someone's in the band starts laughing that I start to get nervous. No, I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to be objective. I'm just trying to write what I hear and hope that there's some depth to it and hope that it's playable and fun to play. And I do mean fun.
mm-hmm.
I want the music to be fun to play. I was listening to I think Clark Summers, the bass player, sent me this link of Count Basie from 1965, and uh, what a blast to play. And I think the music is changing so much, and to me, a lot of the new new jazz doesn't sound fun to play. Maybe it is. Maybe I think it probably is for the people that you know
Are
write
playing
what.
it.
Yeah, but for me, it wouldn't be fun. So I guess I still
you
I'm very conscious of those internal voices being fun lines to play and have a melodic, you know, continuity that makes sense. So
let's
those are
talk.
the things I'm thinking about.
Well, let's talk a little bit about who's in the band too. We should even bring that up because I think a lot of people
Sure.
that are watching this are going to be like, man, I didn't realize Clark Summers is in the band, or Xavier Breaker's in the band, or Tom Garling, or Stu Mindeman, and I mean the list goes on. Jeff Bradfield, Nick Mazzarella. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
wow.
you just covered 2/3 of them.
Yeah, trumpet players.
Chris Madsen is a tenor player. Jeff Bradfield, tenor player. Nick Mazzarella plays alto. Russ Johnson plays trumpet, and Chuck Parrish is the lead player. My long lost brother Tom Garling on trombone, who I've known forever, and so that connection is deep. And the rhythm section, like you said, with the except you left out Mike Alamana,
Yeah.
and then the vocalist is Maggie Burrell, and she's incredible and should be a household name if there was any justice, because she can break your heart in two. Um, we usually break it down on gigs to do a feature with Maggie and usually Mike Alamana on guitar, and it's that's all I can do not to be in tears. She's just got so much depth.
Mm-hmm.
And then Keith Harris does the spoken word. So yeah, it's some great musicians. I'm very very lucky, very lucky.
Yeah, man. Well,
But
so this new recording, I should tell everybody, the new recording, not there yet. It is out. Where can people pick it up? Should that we head them over to the ChicagoYesTet.com, I believe is the website?
I do nope. I don't have it set up there that they can buy directly from the website. I'd like to at some point. At this point, just CD Baby.
Okay.
So yeah, or iTunes. You can get it
iTunes
there.
CD
So
Baby. So
yeah.
with this whole quarantine situation happening, and I actually I had Lydia on the show last week, and I know she's helping you get the word out about this, and we were
Yeah.
talking a little bit about this time in the world with the quarantine situation and the fact that there's no venues, no clubs, all the festivals are canceling in the summer, which
Yeah.
is killing everybody. But
Yeah.
for you to put out a new release, it's almost like there is a captive audience if they know about it. So I think that now might be a great time to put out a release because people are looking for new music to listen to. But how are you handling this? I mean, you probably are teaching, you're still writing and composing. I mean, what are you doing during this time, which is just unknown to everybody?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't actually sure how this interview was going to go. I was almost wishing it was a different day because I just just really heavy-hearted today, and partly because it's really sinking in just how long this is going to be. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're in the industry that's going to be the very last to come back around, and I was already feeling like I'm towards the end of what I'm going to do in music, and uh, I had some I was starting to envision certain ways in which I wanted to close out my playing days. And I'm not sure, I'm feeling like I'm not sure I'll be able to hang on to see that happen. And I might just have to let it all go without really closing it. So that's making me very sad, very, very sad. And also just, talked to my dad today, and he's 88. Not sure when I'll be able to see him again. So there's a lot. I'm feeling dispirited today. I didn't work that much as a musician, but
Mm-hmm.
so in some ways my reality hasn't changed that much because I practice and I work, but the fact that I would have a gig next month down the road or 2 months away made such, there was kept me going, and it was something to look forward to. I love practicing just because I love the music and I love working on the horn and trying to get better. um, so there, and it's my meditation, so I love doing that. But it's very different when there's nothing on the horizon. But the guys that made their living playing, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God,
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's
So
a whole new world,
yeah,
obviously. But as I brought it up to guests yesterday, and somebody I was talking to earlier today, and even Dave Katzman, who was on before you, it would have been different if it would have been like, okay, you know what, in 2 weeks we're going to have to shut this whole operation down, so everybody get ready, because you're talking to restaurant owners and stuff, they could have gotten rid of their food, and at least the
yeah,
musicians could have gone, well, okay, wait, I got to set up all my students here, I got to do something, but it was so immediate that
yeah.
this had to happen, and it had to happen. They had to shut the whole thing
Oh, for
down.
sure.
But that's the stunning thing, and I think the thing that all of us in this entertainment business is feeling. I mean, even during the financial crash, the entertainment business, there was still something
Right.
somewhere that you could do, you could perform, you could do something was able to happen. Now
Sure.
it's just
Yeah.
not happening. So it's like a whole new world, and everybody's trying to navigate through it and find their way to still be creative, still be positive, and
Yeah.
still look at the future. And that's the way I'm handling it. It's the only way you can handle it, I suppose, is think about it that way, and how to
Yeah.
recreate the projects you were going to have to deal with one way, but now you got to deal with them another way.
Yeah.
So
It did happen quick.
yeah.
I think we we had our CD release gig lined up like probably 2 weeks after everything got shut down. So we never
Oh,
actually did that. But so we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I've written 3 tunes like since the last gig. So I don't know if we'll ever get to play them, but they're fairly simple, short tunes. One of them I had in mind for years. The second I read that tweet about 3 years ago, it feels like four, but 3 years ago when Trump tweeted "Kofefe," I knew that was going to be the title for a tune. So so, so I finished that one. I haven't heard it yet, other than in my head. But
well,
yeah,
I got a feeling that we're going to come out of this and it's going to be a different world, but I think people are going to adjust, and I think the arts are going to adjust, and it's going to get stronger, and it's going to push us in a different direction in the 21st century. And it's the only way to do it. It's the only way to think
yeah.
about it.
I
You
I
know,
appreciate your optimism.
it's the only
I
way
do.
you can operate these days is to be optimistic, and
Yeah,
and navigate and come out the other side in a better place. And that's the way I think everybody's got to kind of operate these days.
yeah.
Well,
Thanks, Mike. I
oh
appreciate
yeah,
it.
definitely. Well, thanks so much, Joel, for jumping on. Again, the new recording, Not There Yet, the Chicago Yes Tet. And I've got a feeling, I'm the director of programming at the Epiphany Center for the Arts that was supposed to open April 30th. and it's going to be opening at some point in the near summer future, fall sometime. But maybe we could have your CD release over there at some point. We'll talk and figure it out. I got some ideas. We might have some ideas going on over there. So we'll see what we can do as well. So hopefully we can talk, and we'll be previewing a concert by the Chicago Yes Tet in front of actual people. That'd be good.
Sounds great. Yes. Thanks so much for this, Mike. I appreciate it very much.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Congratulations on the recording, Joel.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks. All right. Bye.
Yep.
All right, Joel Adams. I'll tell you, if you have not heard that recording, you've got to take a listen. Just the snippets I've heard, it's the Chicago Yes Tet. I mean, these are the top guys in the city that are on this recording, that are in the Chicago Yes Tet. Dynamite composing, dynamite arranging. Obviously, Joel Adams has a lot of passion for the project, and I have a feeling that we're going to hear from them, and they're going to be playing live, and they're going to be doing their CD release at some point a little farther down the road, but it'll happen. I think it's going to happen everywhere for everyone in the music industry. It's just going to take a little bit of time, little ingenuity, and, we're going to get there. So that's why I started this show. 20th episode today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate all the comments. If anyone has any suggestions on who else I should have on the show, hit me up, leave me a comment, send me a DM. We've got some great musicians coming up next week and the week after. We might even be doing a digital forum with a few people, some friends in LA, Chicago, New York. That might happen next week or the week after. I don't know how that's going to work. If my camera crashed on just having Dave Katzman on the phone, I can't imagine what's going to happen with that. But hey, we'll figure it out. This is all brand new. Next week, I'm going to announce all of the musicians that I've got lined up. We've got a full slate, so you'll be happy to know that. All of the shows now are on Chicago Music Revealed, so you can get everything there. The podcast will be updated. There's only a couple episodes that are not updated, so that's going to be updated over the weekends as well. I've got a lot of work to do this weekend, apparently. And I'm going to announce all of the shows that are coming up next week. I'm already actually booking 2 weeks, 3 weeks out, so that's pretty exciting. This show's taking off. I love it. Happy that everyone's watching and sticking with us here. Hopefully everybody stays safe this weekend. Everybody chills out, relaxes, stays inside, stays away from people so we can get through this entire situation. And, just keep on cranking along. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the weather. I think it might be a little bit warmer on Sunday. There's your weather report. And, again, share this out if you like it. Tell your neighbors. Tell your family. Call the grandkids. Tell everybody. Chicago Music Revealed, Monday at 4 p.m. We will be back. And as I always say, if I don't see you in person out on the scene, which I won't, hopefully I will see you here on the next broadcast. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.